Hi, I'm Ted McLyman, author of the book Money Makes Me Crazy. And I want to thank you so much for taking time on your Friday afternoon, particularly this beautiful day that it is, at least in Georgia, and being Good Friday. But for about an hour, maybe 45 minutes, I'm going to talk about some of our research. I'm going to talk about what we've learned about people and money. And if you're the type of person that money sometimes makes you crazy, I think you're going to benefit from this because fundamentally, people are not hardwired to work well with money, and we're not as rational as we think. So let me take a couple of seconds, get set up. People are still checking in. I'm going to share my screen, put on our slideshow, and we'll get going in just a couple of seconds. Okay, here we go. Let's rock and roll. First thing, money makes me crazy. The myth of the rational spender. Here's the situation, and this is the problem we have. We live in a society where we like to buy stuff. And sometimes we buy stuff, we don't even know why we buy it. But it's a myth that we're rational with our money. I did a tour at the Naval Academy when I was on active duty in the Marine Corps. I taught economics, and I'll tell you, we had some of the brightest kids in the world who were doing crazy things with money, and it's because not that they're not smart, but they were really irrational. So let's get going. Okay, have you ever gone into the store to buy milk and bread only to spend a small fortune and forget the milk and bread? It happens to us all the time. Why? Well, there are a lot of reasons, but during the webinar, we're going to talk about the challenges you face as a consumer spending your very scarce dollars. And during the course of the presentation, I hope you to understand, first and foremost, the common wisdom about money is wrong. It really is. And I'm going to show you during the presentation why that's true. Then we're going to talk about why it's so important for you to understand and know what I call your money temperament. Your money temperament is how you think and feel about money. It's your behavior with money, and it is critical to your money success. And then finally, the new rules of money. What you think about money probably isn't true. It doesn't work, and there's a new way of thinking about money. And at the end of the session, I think you're going to have a better understanding how this all works. Now, I've been doing this a long time, and I'm not naive enough to believe that some of you may already be bailing out because it's a Friday night and there are things calling. But anyhow, at the end of the seminar, there's a thank you gift. If you log into moneymakesmecrazy.com/webinar and sign up, regardless how you got here, if you came through our website or Google Hangouts, go here. We've got a nice gift for you. We've got some other things that you probably need to be aware of. And here is my contact information, of which I'll show again at the end. Okay, again, it's all based on my book. You can go to the website, a lot of information on the book. Hope you like it. It's really helped change some people's thinking about money. So let's get started. Let's talk about some of the trends and statistics that we've discovered through our research over the last couple of years, and why people are not as good with money as sometimes we think we are. Number one, it's not working. We know something's not working. You know something's not working. And the bottom line is the common denominator in modern society is people and money. Unfortunately, we don't do either very well. We just don't teach this stuff, and it's this very Darwinian trial by error approach that, man, it can get you in a lot of trouble. So why is money so hard? I mean, there are thousands and thousands of references out there. You go to Amazon, you go to any of the online shopping sites, you can find thousands and thousands of books. Go to any one of your local university bookstores, hundreds of books on personal finance and money. Google, man, we search Google, 125 million hits on the term personal finance. And then finally, Dave Ramsey, probably one of the leading gurus, if you will, on personal finance and how to handle your money, has sold about 9 million books and courses on money. Well, Dave has figured out how to do it. And we make all kinds of bad choices. We know that. We know the average credit card balance is well in excess of $15,000. We're spending more on automobiles than my parents spent on their house. The average mortgage is well over $1,700 a month. And this is all balanced with an average monthly income of about 4,200. Bottom line is we tend to make some bad choices with our money, and it translates into problems later in life. And it doesn't have to do with spending either. It's also the way we invest our money, the way we look at the market, the way we play with our money. We're not really good long-term planners. We really aren't. Our brains aren't good at that. But fundamentally, look at some of this data. We know over the last 30 years that the Standard & Poor's index, or the stock market, has had about a return of just a little bit above 11%. I'll tell you, that's not bad. Unfortunately, the average investor has only had a rate of return of about 3.7%. So how do you explain the difference between the market getting 11% and the average investor only getting about 4%? Well, it's bad behavior. So we also know when we talk to professionals and we do the research, we're finding that the financial professionals and their clients are often not on the same sheet of music, if you will, when it comes to the planning conversation. What that simply means is sometimes the financial advisor is talking with one language and you are talking in another language, and it's not working. Fundamentally, I think our industry, the financial planning industry, is too tied up in jargon and products and the old way of making things work, and we're not simply listening to you as a consumer. So what do we need to look at? You've got some challenges that you need to be aware of. Number one, it's our biology. Number two, it's our belief sets. Number three, it's our culture. And number four, the rules of money have changed. Now, what do I mean by that? Our biology gets in the way, our belief and culture gets in the way, and you compound the fact that the rules of money have changed. You should be surprised that anybody does anything well with money. Really. So what do we mean by our biology? Well, most of the research that we've seen indicates that we're just not really hardwired to work well with money. Our brains were designed to do a lot of things, and it does a lot of things very well, but money doesn't seem to be one of them. So we know that our brains were designed to do really two things: keep us alive and pass on the genes. And I'll tell you, balancing your checkbook and reading the small print on your credit card is not one of the things your brain was designed to do. In fact, our brain is well over 100,000 years old biologically. And the brain evolved or was developed during that period of time to keep us alive in a very, very different economy than we have today. Trust me, if you're trying to outrun a saber-toothed tiger, you've got a very different thing on your mind than how to log into Google. Believe me. So what has evolved to keep us alive is not working as well as it used to. As a matter of fact, what kept us alive in the forest may in fact be killing us at the mall. Also, our belief set. Our belief sets with money are very complex. They're pretty sophisticated. But the thing to keep in mind is most of our beliefs about money are well established by mid-adolescence. That means by middle school, most of us have a pretty good understanding how money works. We're pretty well set in our ways as to how we relate with money. And I'll tell you, this is a function of your peer group growing up and your siblings and your parents. So yeah, you can kind of blame mom and dad on this one. But think about it. By the time you're in mid-adolescence, you've probably got a pretty good mindset on money. And if you don't believe me, just follow who's buying all the gear for Frozen. It's our culture. Hey, I don't need to explain this picture. We are known from time to time to do some pretty ridiculous things with our money. Bottom line, we like to buy stuff, and we do it all the time. Our entire economy is driven on consumption, and we buy all kinds of stuff. But next, let's also consider that the rules of money have changed. Man, it used to be get that great education, work hard, retire with a great pension. I mean, that's the rules that our parents gave us. That's what we probably learned in school. Unfortunately, the model we learned in school for work and success and financial independence was built or developed for an economy that doesn't exist anymore. We're moving from an analog economy to a digital economy. And as a result, the old rules just aren't working the way they used to. And the game changer, without a doubt, is longevity. Now, I don't know if the good queen here is actually going to be working at McDonald's, but I'll tell you something that's very true. Longevity longer lives is really, really having an impact on your money. My mother-in-law, who was born in 1913, just had her 102nd birthday. Let me hear think about that for a second. She's 102 years old. Unfortunately, she has a financial plan for somebody that should have passed away in about 1970. But that's the reality. People are living a lot longer than they used to. Matter of fact, when I got started in this business, the average person that I talked to had a pension, Social Security, no mortgage, very little debt or no debt. Most of their family lived within walking distance, and their life expectancy was the mid 70s. And I had to solve for how to get them an extra $200 to $500 a month. Well, things have changed a bit, and the average client we talk to today probably needs an extra $4,000 to $5,000 a month just to maintain their standard of living. Now, the rules have changed. Write this one down. This is critical. Today, you are self-employed. Yep, everybody is self-employed today. They just don't know it. Your well-being, your economic stability is a function of not only where you work, but what you do. In a lot of cases, your earning power is totally dependent on the latest piece of technology, the last budget, some economic activity on the other side of the world, or your job was just eliminated and a new one was created. You are self-employed. It also means that the traditional safety nets are no longer there. That is the pension, the retirement plan, the health benefits, etc., etc. You're self-employed. You're the CEO of your own business. Your business is you, but we're doing a terrible job of making people understand this. And the financial products and services that are generally being offered to most people are now a commodity or a near commodity. What do I mean by that? Well, I've been in this industry for a long time, and back not too many years ago, because the internet didn't exist and communication didn't exist the way it does today, you probably went to the same insurance guy your dad went to. And your dad went to the insurance guy his dad went to. And they had a very limited set of products and services. And to be very candid, you were probably not going to second guess them and shop their products, particularly someplace that's 100 miles a day away. Well, today things are really, really different. I mean, you can sit down and talk to somebody, and while you're talking to them, they can break out their smartphone. They can be surfing the net, select a product based on a concept I talked about, purchase it, and leave, and I would never know it. So what we need to understand is a lot of the products and services that are out there are either commodities or near commodities. So the one-size-fits-all approach, which is data-driven and product-focused, in my opinion, is not working. So what I'm saying is the traditional way of doing business with regard to financial products and services is no longer working, and there needs to be a new way. And think about it. We know, and I can track this and I can prove this with all kinds of data, all money choices are emotional. As a matter of fact, a lot of research and many of the people in the field of neurology and neuroeconomics, behavioral economics, believe that anywhere from 95 to 99% of our buying decisions are made unconsciously. That's right, unconsciously. You don't even know you're doing it. And they're always, always emotional. And you thought you were in charge of your money decisions. Not really. So the rules have changed. What's important to you about money? That's one of the things I don't think we talk enough about. What are your core values? What are the things that really are important to you of which require money to accomplish? Now, a lot of us say, yeah, I need to open the mission in China, or I'm going to cure something, or I'm going to give money away to my university. Let me tell you what. I'll tell you what your core values are. Show me your checkbook, show me your calendar, and I'll tell you what's important to you and how you're spending your money. Again, show me your checkbook, show me your calendar, and I'll tell you what your values are. So, the old rule of money used to be time, money, rate of return, and it was the old present value, future value thing that you tell me if I put in $100 a month for X number of years, I'm going to have X number of dollars and things are going to be wonderful and I'm going to be financially independent and I'm going to have that sailboat or live on the beach and play golf the rest of my life. Well, here's the problem. We're finding it doesn't work. The new rule of money, the new formula for financial success is now what's important about money to you, what are your core values, and to be able to accomplish those core values, you need time, money, rate of return, but the thing that really determines your ultimate success is your behavior, how you think and feel about money. Behavior matters. And what you need is structure and a system to not only identify your behavior, your natural behavior, but also to put together a strategy that accommodates that behavior and helps you make better money choices. Well, let's talk about the critical steps and the strategy to make this all happen. First, how do you get started? Number one, you need to know yourself. You need to know what your values are. You need to know how you think. You need to know your basic patterns. You need to know how you spend money. You need to know who you are, your strong points and your weak points. Then you need to build a team. But the team you build, remember you're self-employed. Think of yourself as the CEO of your own company. You're going to build a board of directors. And these board of directors, the people that are going to fill those positions, are there to help you make better decisions. But I highly recommend that when you're building your team, there are people that know who you are and how you think about money. And then finally, do no harm. One of the reasons you have a team is to help you not make stupid decisions with money. Really, the objective of a good financial plan is to avoid catastrophic loss. Let me explain that again. The reason you have a financial plan is not to have incredible gains, but to avoid catastrophic losses. It's better to get a little of a lot than a lot of nothing. Now, let's talk about your brain for a second. To keep it simple, I'm dividing your brain into two parts, your feeling brain and your thinking brain. Your feeling brain is a control. Your feeling brain is your primitive brain. It's the limbic system. It's the part of your brain that keeps you alive. It's the brain part that is making sure your heart continues to beat, that you continue to breathe, that you're processing this information. It is not conscious. Some of it is automatic. But the thing about your feeling brain, it's automatic. It's fast. It's reactive. It's split second. And it's where most of your decisions are made. On the other hand, your thinking brain takes a little bit more effort to move into that area. It almost hurts to have to really think about doing some things. And the default position of your thinking brain is also always to pass it down to your lazy feeling brain. Let me give you an example. You can think about taxes all day long, and you can worry about doing it emotionally, but then once you make the shift to the thinking brain, it hurts a little bit. It takes a lot more energy. It takes a lot more effort. We're much more comfortable putting things on autopilot, and that becomes a problem when you're strolling through the mall. Right now, your brain just said, wait a minute. These slides have been really cool for a while. They've been simple to understand, and now you throw me this, and I'm out of control. Why? Well, our brains like simple information. They like it unambiguous. They like it straightforward. When I put this slide on, it's a lot easier to look at. It's a lot easier to assimilate. So let's talk about our brain on money. Number one, we like stories, not numbers. We are a species that got to where we are based on the narrative, the storytelling. I mean, written language is not that old. Money's about a couple thousand years old, but our brains that got us here are hundreds of thousands of years old. And we did it through the narrative. The narrative is a story. The story is emotional. So on the one hand, you like emotional stories. On the other hand, emotional stories can get you in trouble. Next, we seek to confirm, not to deny. This is a natural bias that we have as humans, that when we make a decision, we always try to seek out other people that agree with us. We'd like to go out and validate what we've done. Now, in the past, it wasn't a big deal. You made a decision. There are 3 or 4 people you talked to. One was probably an authority figure. You know, there were not a lot of choices and maybe not terribly significant consequences of that confirmation bias. Today, it's a little bit different. Today, we make decisions in group, and sometimes we do it with social media. So today, it's easy to confirm your bad decisions very quickly. We use the internet. We use Facebook. We use social media. I know some younger people that every major decision they make is made on Facebook. And unfortunately, that can get you in trouble. We hate loss more than gain. Think about this. Our brains hate pain. They hate loss. That's one of the things that kept us alive. And there's a lot of complicated chemistry that's going on here. But bottom line is the loss, the emotional pain of losing money is about 4 times more significant than the emotional joy of earning money. I'm going to use a client that I've had for a number of years who, if he loses money, he calls me, he's on it immediately. And it hurts forever. And it doesn't even mean if the person has the product. Just watching TV causes it. But on the other hand, when they're making money, it's, I expected you to do that. But keep that in mind. Loss aversion is an incredibly important component of how you think and feel about money. You're always going to try to avoid the loss, and the gains feel pretty good. Next, we see what we expect, not the truth. What this means is our ability to always go out and really rationalize things. In almost everything I can think of, we as humans have the ability to look at things and see exactly what we expect and then move in that direction. Not always the truth. So what that simply means is sometimes when we get listen to the story, confirm the story, decide that the loss is not significant, we may not still be moving in the right direction because everything we've gotten is wrong or biased, and we're still doing things that are wrong. We like order, not chaos and ambiguity. This becomes a problem because sometimes the world is just plain messy. Sometimes money is messy. And trying to put order out of chaos at a point when sometimes it's impossible gets us into trouble. We do this all the time by looking backwards for historical data that we can put in nice little boxes to justify our decisions into the future, and then we project that data forward when in reality there may not be any relationship with what happened yesterday and what will happen tomorrow. We rely on rules, which we call heuristics or rule of thumb. We couldn't live without them. Unfortunately, they can be biased and wrong. I could probably list a dozen things right now that you use to make your money decisions that I can prove to you that are incorrect, invalid, or outdated. But it doesn't matter. You still use them. And finally, with regard to money, our brain will always be a human brain, and we will always make decisions with money in a very, very human way. Meaning, we're emotional and not terribly rational. So, are you surprised at some of these things that you see in the picture? I love the one in the lower right. Clearly, I've made some bad decisions, but there's some real examples of emotional spending here, and maybe some good decisions, maybe some bad decisions, but I'll tell you right up front, I'm pretty convinced they're not rational decisions. Maybe I'm wrong. So what do we need to know? The old way of doing things versus the new way of doing things. The old way of doing things was all about product. The new way is always about you. When I say always about product, it's asset-based, product-driven, features and price. Data-driven, one-size-fits-all, very right brain, thinking brain stuff. The future, though, is all about you and how you think and feel about money. It's about behavior. It's value-driven. It's based on concepts, knowledge, one size fits one, and realizing that the feeling brain is in charge. So, you want to work with your money in a process-focused way, or do you want to work in an emotionally focused way? The reality is most of your time is going to be spent spending money emotionally, and you need to understand how this works and how this impacts your financial future. No, there is a better way. Through our work with writing the book Money Makes Me Crazy and some subsequent research, one of which is called iPlan, which is an exciting new program that we're releasing now. You can see it at iPlan.com. But we've also have what we call the quick scan. The quick scan is a way for you to very easily determine what we call your money temperament, how you think and feel about money. And I'm going to get to this in a minute. So there is a better way. And I call the better way your money behavior system. The money behavior system is a way for you to get your arms around how you think and feel about money and how you make your money choices. And it's got 5 components, and if you understand these components and how they work for you and with you, and if you're married or have a partner, how it works for them in the long run, I believe you will make better decisions. So let's start with money values. Money values are nothing more than the things that are important to you in life. What is most important to you in life that is going to cost money, and if it is not accomplished, is going to cause you great emotional anxiety? Again, I don't care what it is, and it doesn't matter how much it costs. The point is, these are your key values. These are what are important to you, and your money approach or your money plan should be driving you in this direction. Again, I go back to show me your checkbook, show me your calendar, and I can tell you right up front what your values truly are. Unfortunately, for a lot of folks, they really sit down and start clarifying their values at a time in their life when it's really too late to accomplish them. So I recommend very strongly that you sit down and have a discussion about what's important about money to you. Why do you do what you do? Why is your current career what it is? Is it going to get you where you want to go? And then sometimes you have to make some very hard decisions about whether you're on track. Okay, next we talk about money temperament. Money temperament is new. This is a term I coined, and I talk about it in the book, and it's really how you think and feel about money. Thinking about money is really your upper brain. Feeling about money is your lower brain, your primitive brain. But we've done a lot of work over the last couple of years to help people get their arms around what their money temperament is, how they think and feel about money, why this is so important. Because we know that behaviorally and psychologically, you will make spending decisions based on your natural temperament. Now, here's something else that's really important about temperament. It's unique to you. We don't judge what it is. It is what it is. But you need to identify that temperament so then you can have strategies and courses of action that accommodate how you naturally think and feel about money. Now, here's why money temperament gets so out of whack is in our culture, our economy, we tend to think that everybody is naturally rational with their money, that they naturally want to put money aside for the future, they're comfortable saving, and they're comfortable with goal setting. Is that your temperament? Money knowledge. Money knowledge is nothing more than how you process information. When I say money knowledge to most people, they think this is technical skills. You know, did I take a course in personal finance? Do I know the difference between alpha and beta? Do I know what I own? That's knowledge, but it's technical knowledge, and I'm not talking about this. When I'm talking about money knowledge, I want to know how you process information. We call this your learning modality. How do you process information? How do you take things in, and with that information, when you process it, how do you make a decision? Very simply, do you like seeing your information visually? Or do you like to hear about your information? So are you a visual or an auditory? Or are you the type of person that likes to touch it, tactile? And then are you the type of person that's more of a digital analytic, which means you're you really like the numbers stuff. But how you process information is incredibly important, because if we present the information about your financial plan or your strategy in a way that you're not comfortable processing that information, you're either not going to take action or you're not going to understand it. So make sure when you're talking to somebody or working with somebody that the information and the data they give you is presented in a way that works best for you. And here's another footnote. Most of the financial industry is really digital analytical, meaning they're driven by numbers. All the compliance stuff is based on numbers, and most of the products that you're going to see are based on numbers. So if you're not a number or an analytical person, most of this stuff is not going to sit well. Keep that in mind. Next, we want to look at your money strategy. Your money strategy is nothing more than the grand plan to bring it all together. The grand plan is a 300,000 foot view of where you're going to be 20, 30 years from now. What are the concepts? What's important to you? How are you going to make this work? How am I going to tie my values and temperament and knowledge together to put together a strategy that works for me based on who I am and how I process information, what I think is important about money, and where I want to go? Critically, critically important. This is different than just going in and getting a financial plan, because most financial plans don't talk about values, temperament, and knowledge. The last piece is the action plan. The action plan is nothing more than execution. It's going out and doing what needs to be. It may be buying something, it may be saving money, it may be an investment product, an insurance product, a bank statement. I don't care what it is, but it's the action plan to go make it happen, to go tactically and put your values on autopilot to make it happen. Now, most of the people I know in the traditional way of having sales in the financial industry are focused on the action step. I mean, have you ever been in a situation where you're talking to somebody and all they show you is features and price, features and price, features and price? And it usually comes down to, hey, I'm going to give you 3 brochures, pick one, call you on Monday. And do you want to do this with check or credit card? That's not what I mean by having a sound action plan. That's not what I mean by having a strategy, and it definitely probably doesn't accommodate your values, temperament, and knowledge. So here's the reality, folks. We need to understand that the area in the box is the new frontier. This is what we talk about. This is what we teach. This is what we write about. This is our research. How do we go beyond the traditional way of dealing with money and get out of that just do it, do it, do it, and then come back and back into a strategy? We think that process is backwards. It always begins, what are your values? What is important about money to you? And why is it important? And then if you're married, have a partner, spouse, whatever, what's important to them? And are you talking to each other? I guarantee that most people aren't. Then, what is your natural money temperament? How do you think and feel about money? And I don't care what it is. We don't judge, but you need to identify it. Then, how do you process information? Once you know your values, your temperament, and how you process information, then you build a strategy, build on that foundation. Do you understand? You have no business doing a strategy until you know where you're coming from and where you want to go. Once that is all put together, then you design the action plan to go make it happen. And unfortunately, most of our economy, most of the financial planning, financial services industry is not based on this model. So we're giving you a little insight here. We're giving you some tools to be a better consumer, a better spender, and hopefully in the long run, much happier with your decisions. Because right now, you know more about spending choices than 99% of the people out there. And if you take the time to truly understand what your values are, your temperament, and your knowledge, you're going to be much happier with the outcome, greater peace of mind, and probably in a better financial place. So in summary, let's talk about this. Financial success is always about behavior. Let me explain that. Financial success is always about behavior. Sometimes you need a nudge to get going in the right direction. That nudge should be from somebody that understands who you are and where you want to go, but more importantly, understands the concepts and the precepts that I'm talking about here. What I'm saying is you should be working with somebody that understands who you are, how you think and feel about money. Unless they know that, how can they make a realistic recommendation? Money is about behavior. It is not about money. So let's talk a little bit about the money temperament again. This is critically important. I'm not going to get into this in great depth here, although we have a number of tools that get into this. I'll cover this in more depth on other webinars. But money temperament really talks about 6 areas. Spending habits. Are you naturally wired to be a spender or saver? In other words, do you get emotional satisfaction out of spending money, or do you get emotional satisfaction out of savings money? And there's no right answer. It's just who you are. Head and heart. Are you the type of person who makes decisions analytically? You'd run the numbers, you think about it, you turn it around? Or are you the type of person that makes spending decisions very quickly, emotionally, and then go figure it out? Head or heart? Important stuff. Second thoughts. A person that is really concerned about second thoughts is a person who often has a lot of buyer's remorse. In other words, you're always going to take a lot of time making a decision, and then you're often going to second guess that decision. You're the type of person, believe it or not, that can drive salespeople nuts. On the other hand, a person who is not overly concerned with the second thoughts, we call them a confirmer. They make a decision, they're good with it, they're moving on. Can you see the difference? Energy, effort, and taking action. Okay, energy effort is nothing more than I want it all versus good enough. We call this sufficer versus maximizer. A maximizer is the type of person that expects or demands everything out of everything they do. There's no compromise. So if you can be very disappointed in your spending decisions because you have very high expectations and very high demands, but often the product or service you purchase doesn't meet those expectations, and you're often disappointed. Or you're the type of person that you're talking to your financial advisor and they make an off-the-cuff remark like, you know, this product traditionally gets about an 8% rate of return. In your mind, you've just been guaranteed an 8% rate of return. So your advisor calls you in about a year and they go, hey, congratulations, you got a 7.999% rate of return, much better than the market. And unconsciously, your mind is going, that thief, they lied to me. Can you see the difference? Okay, taking action is fully involved versus hands off. The person that is behaviorally wired to be hands-on is a person that really wants to get into the spending decision, really wants to get all the information and all the data. Sometimes this can be analysis paralysis, to be very candid, but this is the type of person that sometimes is going to try to do the job of the salesperson. They've got so much information, there's so much data that they are actually going to come in and they may actually know more about the product and service than the person that's offering it. Okay, nothing wrong with that. Keeps that person happy. On the other hand, the person who is hands off is kind of the delegator. Hey, I don't care, just do it. You know, so when you think about these natural money temperaments, and each one of you is a combination of all of this, it has a tremendous impact on how you think and feel about money and your spending decisions. Now, here's something that's incredibly important to keep in mind. This is not a personality test. Personality test is different. What I'm talking about here are just natural tendencies towards money, how you think and feel about money that manifests itself in different behaviors that you or the people you're working with to manage your money need to be aware of. Or to put it another way, I know extroverted jerks who are good with money. I know extroverted jerks that are bad with money. The person is an extroverted jerk. I'm not going to fix that. I just want to know the relationship with money and determine whether or not we have a basis to work together. But think about it. Who do you know that is a spender? Who do you know that's a saver? Who do you know a person that really overthinks every spending decision? And who do you know that could care less? Now, most people fall in the mid-ground. The behavior is not terribly dysfunctional or a problem in either way, but there are cases when the people at the extremes have these behaviors and it can become very disruptive, almost dysfunctional. The people that fall in those ranges, the outliers, they really probably need some professional help. And most financial advisors don't want to do that. They're not qualified to do that, so they don't ask them. So all you need to do, if you're going to be truly competent in your spending choices, I think it's critical that you understand what your basic money temperament is. And the only way you can figure that out right now is through some of the work that we're doing. So remember, humans are not very good with money. Yep, we're not very good with money. Wasn't a problem when our average life expectancy was 20 to 30 years. Wasn't a problem when you lived on the farm and it was a subsistence farm. But I'll tell you, it is a critical problem now when the traditional safety nets are no longer there. When life expectancy is now measured into the 90s or beyond, you have no choice. You have to learn how to be good with money. But be good with money in a way that works for you, not your neighbor, the talking head, or the person that's writing the newspaper article. Remember, money choices are always emotional. Always emotional. Every time we spend a buck, it's an emotional decision. And most of the times it's unconscious. And I'll tell you, I can work with the most analytical, card-carrying, PhD, physicist, mathematician, statistician, and their money decisions are still emotional. They just use analytical data to support their emotional decision. Remember, the feeling brain is in control. And if you don't believe me, think about the last time you ran into a store to buy a gift. And in the process of buying that gift, you probably had a budget. Now, if you're really smart, that budget was written on a piece of paper and you were not going to exceed that amount. But most people don't do that. They just run to the store, I got to get a gift for so-and-so. It's a kid's party or something like that. Let me ask you a question. How many of you, in the process of buying that gift, bought something for yourself, spent a lot more money on the gift, and in the process of leaving the store, found a lot of things you needed? Yep, that's our feeling brain in control. Remember, when you go into most modern shopping situations, they are designed to take advantage of your feeling brain. They're designed to bombard your senses, your sight, your hearing, your smell, the touch and feel of the environment, to make your feeling brain very comfortable and, as a result, susceptible to spending money. So you need to figure out how you stand in that regard and what steps you need to take to maybe stay on budget. Then finally, the common wisdom about money is wrong. Let me explain again. The common wisdom about money, and this is the way I was trained, this is the way I was trained to teach economics, and this is the way I was trained as a financial advisor when I was practicing as a financial advisor, is that people are generally rational. That if I give you enough data, everybody will make a good decision. That over time, the rational mind will take charge and always achieve the right outcome. That we have this ability to do this constant cost-benefit analysis in our brains, and we will take that cost-benefit analysis, spend our money efficiently, effectively, and do the right thing. Well, it appears that's wrong. The reality is that money decisions are emotional, mostly unconscious, and based on behavior. So if you're going to be successful with your money and you're going to move in a position that you want to get your arms around where you are financially and move to a better place, the first thing you need to understand is, how do you make decisions about money? What are your values? What is your temperament? What is your learning style? Once you understand that, is it compatible with the plan you have in place? Is it compatible with the people you hang around with? Now, I'm not saying drop your friends, but if you have friends that are making more money than you are, and they are committed spenders, and you're just trying to keep up with them, and you can't do that, you're going to have some problems. So remember that most of the products and services you see today are commodities or near commodities. What I mean is the internet and modern technology has given you incredible opportunities to spend money, more than you've ever had before. And we know that those opportunities can make your brain hurt. That means that you're going to go out and spend emotionally, and you can spend emotionally on the computer or your phone just as well as you can in front of a salesperson. We do it all the time. So to recap, remember, humans are not very good with money. I can prove it, and I bet you can. Money choices are emotional. The feeling brain is in control, and the common wisdom about money is wrong. Okay, finally, I need your help. We're on a quest to change the world. We want to move the financial industry and the general sales industry from product focus to people focus. People before products. We think this is important stuff. And we think for people to be really successful with their money and be successful running their own business, which is you Inc., you need to know how you think and feel about money. Until you do that, you're going to be at the mercy of every scheme, idea, or concept that's coming down the road. And there's very little do-over in today's economy. Very little do-over. One shot to get it right. Don't screw it up. So, what do we say? I want to thank you for spending about a half an hour, 45 minutes with me. Let's work together. We're changing business as usual. We're developing processes. We're developing tools for you. We're developing tools for professionals to again move from the product side to the people side. We think very strongly that the future of the financial services industry is to get out of selling stuff and to start managing relationships. Now, if you're a professional and you do this for a living, we've got stuff for you. But what we're trying to do is launch a movement, and the movement really begins with you, the average consumer. And to make this thing really work, you need to understand your temperament, how you think and feel about money, and to start moving forward. My goal is to put you in a position that you're going to read my book, you're going to understand how things really work, and you're going to walk into somebody's office and you're going to go, do you do this? And hopefully that person can say yes and help build a plan for you based on the fact that your feeling, thinking brain are sometimes in conflict. The fact that you have a basic money temperament that is going to drive all your decision making. The book is available at moneymakesmecrazy.com. It's really, really easy to read. It is non-technical, and it's not about money. When I wrote this book, the intent was to write a very easy book that you could probably read on an airplane going from, say, Atlanta to Washington, D.C., definitely to L.A., and once you get off the book, you have this aha moment about money. I don't talk about stock market. I don't talk about products. I talk about you. I talk about you and your relationship with money, how your feeling brain gets in the way of making good decisions, and I base it all on a metaphor of going to the mall. And I found that people that read this book come away and they go, my gosh, I wish I'd had this earlier. Why doesn't everybody do this? They don't do this because nobody else is doing this. So, thank you. I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank you for your patience, giving up maybe an evening or an afternoon to sit down and listen to me. If you go to moneymakesmecrazy.com/webinar, that's moneymakesmecrazy.com/webinar, put in your email, and I've got a couple of, I think, pretty cool free gifts for you for just putting up with me for a little while. I've got the first chapter of my book. I've got a neat little assessment tool in there that's going to teach you the difference between whether you're a spender or a saver, and a couple of white papers I wrote on really the mistakes people make with their money. If you want to contact me, you can get a hold of me right here at moneymakesmecrazy.com. That's our new website. We're just rolling that out right now. That's dedicated to the book. You can contact me at ted@moneymakesmecrazy.com. That's my email. And I've got another business site. If all else fails and you want to get a hold of me directly, myapex.com. And at myapex.com, you're going to see what we do on the insurance and the finance side, or call the office, 706-860-2490. Okay, it's been about 45 minutes, and I hope you're still with me. And I hope you understand now that a number of the things we're talking about are important. And in making them important, you need to get a hold of who you are and what you do with money. Because money success is not about money. Money success is about knowing who you are, how you think and feel about money, having some tools, and I think very importantly, having somebody that understands you to help guide you through this very complex process. The rules of money have changed. It's about behavior. You have to overcome inflation and taxes. You have to be on track. You are self-employed, and if you try to do it yourself, the probability of getting it correct is not good. And finally, remember, the goal of your financial plan is not to make boatloads of money. The goal of your financial plan is not to lose boatloads of money. That's the secret.